Check. Today, we're going to start our new set of notes here. But these ones are going to be really just kind of the first half of this. Now, like I said, I've got to go back in time in order to go forward. So today, what we're going to start with, these notes, these are the Westward Expansion notes. Title of these ones, Westward Expansion. Now, what we're going to start with today is kind of just setting up where we're going to be going for the first half of this unit. So for today, and even just a couple days going forward, we need to talk about where we've been so we can talk about what's happening after the Civil War, after Reconstruction. We need to go all the way back to the beginning, but it's going to permeate this idea. Something about us that's going to be different from really everywhere else in the world. What we're going to start with today is what's called Manifest Destiny. Now, I kind of get some mixed responses. So is Manifest Destiny, is this at least ringing a bell? Okay. Like I said, this might be some review or it might be brand new. Manifest Destiny is something that's going to be really just innate within Americans. Really ever since our founding. The idea that we should expand America all the way across the continent. That we are almost destined by God to be the ones who are going to come all the way across the New World. Now, when we first begin, we are loyal British subjects. We're colonists coming from England across the Atlantic and landing in the eastern seaboard. The original 13 colonies are going to begin this idea. Now, Manifest Destiny, in its most basic sense, is saying we should move from the Atlantic all the way across the continent to the Pacific. But as we're doing so, we need to bring some good things with us. Because the American colonists, who will eventually be American citizens, we are very special. We're different. We are going to bring about a new way of thinking in the world that is really modern thought. Now, I have to kind of set this up in such a way, when we land on the eastern seaboard as the original 13 colonies, we are very loyal to a British king. The overwhelming majority of human beings in the entire existence of mankind have been dominated by a dictator or a monarch. It's simply how humanity has existed. We're different. When we come to the New World, we start to say, this new king is no longer protecting us. He's hurting us. We're going to change the way the world works. And we need to spread the good news, bringing things with us as we go westward. Now, what these settlers said is it's our duty, it's our responsibility to bring a new way of the world working with us. As we go westward, these settlers say it's up to us to bring Christianity, democracy, and civilization. Bring Christianity, democracy, and civilization. Now, I just want to give kind of an overview first, and we'll get more into this later as we go forward. But when we are the original 13 colonies, our founding is one that is very strongly based on Christianity, Christian beliefs. And as we start going westward, we realize that there's an opportunity out west. There are going to be people that we keep bumping into as we go westward. Who am I referring to here? The Native Americans. Now, like I say, I'm going to explain more as we go forward, but this is an opportunity to spread Christianity. Now, next is democracy. Like I say, the overwhelming majority of mankind has lived under dictatorships and monarchs in our existence. 99.9% of every human being who's ever lived under tyranny. Things are different for us. We revived democracy, a system of government that hadn't existed in thousands of years. Even when we are British citizens, There is a king ruling over us that is judge, jury, and executioner. He has ultimate power to do whatever he wants. In fact, the king that we live under had a bit of a problem. He had a wife that would not bear a son, couldn't bear a son. So he had to fix the problem. But the king's not allowed to get a divorce. Oh, so you fix the problem. Kills her. Calls her into his bedchamber and says, "You're an enemy of the state. Off with your head." So now he needs a new wife. Walking through the streets of London, he finds a new wife, but she has a problem. She's already married. So, fix the problem. He calls in her husband to his bedchamber, says, "You're an enemy of the state. Off with your head." Problem solved. New problem. She can't bear a son. So what do? Fix the problem. Calls her in, executes her, all under the idea of saying that I am God's chosen representative on earth. I can do whatever I want. This is how people lived. And now we're going to change things. Now we're going to get to this part of civilization more a little bit later on. Now here's the thing. Again, going back in time today, we're going to go all the way back to our founding, when we are just the colonies. Now again, like I say, we are loyal British subjects. But there's something about us. Something that maybe it's adventurous spirit, maybe it's just risk-taking. The odds of getting from England across the Atlantic and even just landing in the colonies, your odds of survival are probably about 65%. Probably about a third of people are going to die on their attempt to get to the New World. Now we land there, and again, there's just something about us where people who are in the colonies are just curious. They want to know what's out there. What is farther west? We have these colonists who are slowly trickling westward, and this king has a bit of a problem. He tells these colonists in 1763, do not go west of the Appalachian Mountains. This is your boundary. My teenagers, is it possible if someone tells you not to do something, you kind of want to do it more? Relations, because I cannot protect you out there. Constantly, as these colonists are leaking westward, they are running into these Native Americans. Now, I will tell you, and we're going to talk more about this as we go forward. These settlers and the Native Americans have a massive misunderstanding. They don't get each other. They don't get their systems of existence. There's this huge misunderstanding about property and ownership, and both sides do not really understand the other. Now, when this happens, there's going to be violence. There's going to be conflict. And when there's conflict, these colonists write back to Great Britain and say, it's your job to protect us. Send the army. Send the navy. And this king simply says, I'm not going to because you're too expensive. It's a ton of money to send the British Army and the British Navy all through the frontier to protect you as you go westward. I'm not doing it. So here's how I solve the problem. Just don't go west of the mountains. If you don't go west of the mountains, we won't have this problem. But again, they're just curious. They want to know. There's adventure and opportunity to be had. And no matter what, even when this king, the judge, jury, and executioner says, don't go west of the Appalachians, we still go. My teenagers,